Greetings fellow mages, in this series we'll be taking a look at some of the lore behind the spells and creatures we have in Harry Potter Magic Awakened. First, let's take a look at the nifty weather spell, the Atmospheric Charm. In Harry Potter Magic Awakened, the Atmospheric Charm conjures a magical cloud that searches for an opponent, deals continuous damage, and decreases the healing received. But what does it do in the Harry Potter universe? As the name says, it's a type of weather-modifying charm that can instantly change the weather by creating a thunderstorm or snow. In the movie for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, while the Golden Trio were at the Ministry trying to get Umbridge's Horcrux, they find that it has been raining in Corbin Yaxley's office. This is most likely due to the Atmospheric Charm. Yaxley ordered Reginald Cattermole of Magical Maintenance to take care of it, otherwise he planned to make it hard for Reggie's wife during her blood status evaluation. Yaxley had no idea though that Reggie was actually Ron Weasley, polyjuiced as Reg Cattermole. In the Fantastic Beasts movies, the Atmospheric Charm was referenced in a newspaper clipping where it apparently affected the shopping experience of consumers. We can also assume that this charm is used inside of Newt's suitcase to create the appropriate weather for the Fantastic Beasts. This isn't the charm used on the ceiling of Hogwarts though, since that enchantment mirrors the night sky and isn't just a patch of rainy or snowy weather. There isn't really an incantation reference in any of the books or movies, but the counter curse for it is,
"Yes, a lot of offices have been raining lately," said Mr. Weasley. "Did you try Meteorologics Recanto? It worked for Bletchley."
You can hear Cassandra cast this in the Atmospheric Charm card.
Meteorologics Recanto.
Next we have Expulso. The name of the spell is of Latin origin, which means expel. In the game, Expulso creates a small explosion that pushes back opponents away from the area where you cast the spell. In Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, after the Golden Trio obtained the Locket of Salazar Slytherin from Dolores Umbridge, they end up camping in the woods since they could no longer back to Grimmauld Place. Poor little creature. Having obtained the Horcrux, Harry and Hermione must try and destroy it. Harry uses Expulso to try and get rid of the Horcrux. And of course, you can't use Expulso to destroy a Horcrux. In the books, it was used against Harry when they were running away from Death Eaters during Bill and Fleur's wedding, and found themselves on Tottenham Court Road. Dolohov uses it to target the then invisible Harry who was under his invisibility cloak.
Harry sent another stunning spell at the Death Eater with the Twisted Face who had tied up Ron. But the spell missed, rebounded on the window, and hit the waitress, who collapsed in front of the door. "Expulso!" bellowed the Death Eater, and the table behind which Harry was standing blew up. The force of the explosion slammed him into the wall, and he felt his wand leave his hand as the cloak slipped off him.
The spell also makes its appearance in games like Hogwarts Legacy and Hogwarts Mystery. Apparition is a way of moving around in the wizarding world alongside portkeys and the Floo network. This is when the witch or wizard travels instantly from one location to another. According to Wilkie Twycross, an apparition instructor from the Ministry of Magic, in order to apparate, one had to remember the 3 Ds. Destination, Determination, and Deliberation. In Great Britain, you had to be at least 17 years old in order to take the test to obtain an apparition license. This is because if you don't successfully apparate, you could get splinched, which means part of your body gets left behind when you apparate. Side-along apparition is when 2 or more people travel at once. This is usually done by adults with underage witches and wizards. In the movies, this happens several times. One was when Dumbledore took Harry to see Professor Slughorn. Harry was waiting for a waitress to enter his ship so he could go on a date with her, and that doesn't happen because Dumbledore. Another was when Harry and Hermione were apparating to new locations after escaping from the Ministry of Magic. Although Hermione used a lot of protective spells to hide their location, it's still better to not stay in one place for too long. In the book for the Half-Blood Prince, Sidelong Apparitions is mentioned as a reminder from the Ministry of Magic for keeping their family safe in case of Death Eater attacks.
Review the security arrangement around your house, making sure that all family members are aware of emergency measures such as shield and disillusionment charms, and, in the case of underage family members, side-along apparition.
In Harry Potter Magic Awakened though, the image of the card is of Fred and George apparating while they were at Grimmauld Place, since they had already turned 17 and were allowed to do magic outside of school. What the card does though is it allows you to apparate to a new location you choose. There is a short window right after you choose where to apparate to that you can apparate to a different location. What this will do is it will let you go to a stop where you can pick up any allies and bring them with you to your destination. Dittany is a plant with aromatic leaves with small purple flowers. It's a member of the mint family. In the movies, just like with Expulso, essence of Dittany gets used when they escape the Ministry of Magic. As Hermione apparates them away from Grimmauld Place, Ron gets splinched. She uses essence of Dittany to heal Ron's wounds. In the books, Dittany is first mentioned in the Sorcerer's Stone. This was when they were in the library working on their schoolwork, as they were about to find out that Hagrid got a dragon's egg.
Harry, who was looking up Dittany in 1,000 magical herbs and fungi, didn't look up until he heard Ron say, "Hagrid, what are you doing in the library?"
The next time it's mentioned is when Harry uses Sectum Sempra on Malfoy, and Snape just finished using the counter curse for it.
You need the hospital wing. There may be a certain amount of scarring, but if you take Dittany immediately, we might avoid even that.
And then of course, similar to the movies, in the Deathly Hallows. In Harry Potter Magic Awakened, it provides a small area where it heals any ally that stands on it. The potion is actually made from dried and crushed Dittany leaves combined with 15 drops of salt water. It's used primarily to heal shallow open wounds. When you combine it with silver, the mixture can heal werewolf bites. You'll still become a werewolf though, but it'll heal the wound at least. All sorts of spiders exist at Hogwarts. In the movies, we see several spiders across different movies. There was Aragog in the Forbidden Forest in the Chamber of Secrets. There was the huge spider that Ron was afraid of in Prisoner of Azkaban. There was the spider that Moody/Barty Crouch Jr. used to demonstrate the unforgivable curses in the Goblet of Fire. And then of course there were more of the Acromantulas in the Deathly Hallows when they attack Hogwarts. And then of course there were loads more in the books. From those that shared Harry's cupboard in the Sorcerer's Stone,
Harry got slowly out of bed and started looking for socks. He found a pair under his bed, and after pulling a spider off one of them, put them on.
until the spiders that carried off Hagrid in the Deathly Hallows.
But he was not even halfway to Hagrid when he saw it happen. Hagrid vanished amongst the spiders, and with a great scurrying, a foul swarming movement, they retreated under the onslaught of spells, Hagrid buried in their midst.
These spiders in Harry Potter Magic Awakened are based on the scene in the Chamber of Secrets, when spiders can be seen fleeing to the Forbidden Forest. We don't really know what type of spiders all the ones that fled out of the castle were, but we do know that they were fleeing towards the king of the Arachnids, Aragog, the Acromantula. In the game, the card summons 6 baby spiders that attack your opponents. They don't really do a lot of damage, but are good if you have a Fiendfire in your deck. Prior Incantado is a spell that's used to reveal the last spell that a wand performed. This spell first makes its appearance in the book for the Goblet of Fire. At the time, Harry lost his wand during the Quidditch World Cup. Amos Diggory uses the spell to find out the last spell that the wand cast.
Winky trembled and shook her head frantically, her ears flapping, as Mr. Diggory raised his own wand again and placed it tip to tip with Harry's. "Prior Incantato!" roared Mr. Diggory. Harry heard Hermione gasp, horrified, as a gigantic serpent-tongued skull erupted from the point where the two wands met. But it was a mere shadow of the green skull high above them.
The spell is never used in the movies, but we do see a similar effect, which is Priori Incantatum. This is the phenomenon that happens when two wands of the same core battle each other. The winning wand will force the losing wand to create echoes of the most recent spells the losing wand cast. This is why echoes of Cedric Diggory, Frank Bryce, and Lillian James Potter started showing up out of Voldemort's wand. In Harry Potter Magic Awakened, it's used to cast a second instance of a spell that you just perform for the cost of 1 MP more than the original spell. Nebulous is the fogging spell. In The Crimes of Grindelwald, Dumbledore uses this spell when he wanted to talk to Newt in London. The name of the spell comes from the Latin nebula, which means fog or cloud. This spell doesn't actually show up in any of the books and just gets used in the Fantastic Beasts series. In Harry Potter Magic Awakened, it hides you from your opponent so that they can't really tell exactly where you are while in the cloud. It also makes someone not try and run towards you, since they can't see you. It also heals you, although at a lot slower pace than Essence of Dittany or Episky. The Apugnojinx causes conjured creatures or other objects to attack the target of the spell. Its name comes from the combination of the Latin words ob, which means against, and pugnare, which means to fight. The Apugnojinx makes its appearance in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince when Hermione got mad at Ron and the birds she conjured flew like bullets toward Ron's direction. This is also the only instance that it's mentioned in the books.
"Oh, Pugno!" came a shriek from the doorway. Harry spun around to see Hermione pointing her wand at Ron, her expression wild. The little flock of birds was speeding like a hail of fat golden bullets toward Ron, who yelped and covered his face with his hands. But the birds attacked, pecking and clawing at every bit of flesh they could reach.
Although in the movies, Hermione's takes the form of birds as well, the spell itself doesn't create the canaries, it only commands them to attack. In Harry Potter Magic Awakened, it summons 6 canaries that attack any creature that comes close to the caster. Aguamenti is the water-making spell. It creates a jet of clean water from the caster's wand. The name of the spell comes from the Latin aqua, which means water, and mens, which means mine. In the movie for the Half-Blood Prince, after Dumbledore drinks the cursed potion to obtain the locket at the bottom, Harry uses Aguamenti to fill the Horcrux basin with water to try and give the weakened Dumbledore some water to drink. The first time the spell is mentioned in the books, though, is also in the Half-Blood Prince, since they were meant to learn the spell in their 6th year at Hogwarts.
"We've got Quidditch tryouts this morning," said Ron, "and we're supposed to be practicing the Aguamenti charm from Flitwick."
In the books, it's used several times, including trying to put out the fire when Hagrid's hut was burning at the end of Half-Blood Prince.
"We should put out your house," said Harry. "The charm's Aguamenti."
It's also used in the Deathly Hallows when Hermione puts out Mundungus Fletcher's eyebrows when it was accidentally set on fire.
Harry dropped his wand. It hit Mundungus on the nose and shot red sparks into his eyebrows, which ignited. "Aguamenti!" screamed Hermione, and a jet of water streamed from her wand, engulfing a spluttering and choking Mundungus.
In Magic Awakened, it shoots 10 jets of water that does increasing damage the more times it hits its target. Pixies are mythical creatures that are the pranksters of British folklore. They are tiny and elf-like in appearance. In the Harry Potter universe, though, they are colored blue and don't look like elves at all. In the Chamber of Secrets, Gilderoy Lockhart brings a bunch of Cornish pixies for his Defense Against the Dark Arts class. Not really sure if Cornish pixies should really be classified as dark arts, but then again, this is Gilderoy Lockhart. As to be expected from Lockhart, the pixies get out of control and wreak havoc in the classroom. And of course, our heroic professor goes to his office to hide and task Harry, Ron, and Hermione to fix the problem. In the books, it's pretty much the same. He hypes up the creatures he has caged up, and the class just laughs looking at the Cornish pixies.
As the whole class held its breath, Lockhart whipped off the cover. "Yes," he said dramatically, "freshly caught Cornish pixies." Seamus Finnegan couldn't control himself. He let out a snort of laughter that even Lockhart couldn't mistake for a scream of terror.
In Harry Potter Magic Awakened, the Cornish Pixies card summons 3 Cornish Pixies that attack opponents. They can attack both ground and flying creatures. And those were 10 spells and magical creatures you can find in Harry Potter Magic Awakened. Until next time, fellow mages, see you in the wizarding world.